him 20, 30 years. Okay, I got that the meeting's being recorded by Kirk, somebody that looks more like Dave Hedges to me. But anyway,
Sorry, I'm still catching up here a little bit.
okay. Well, I think we're still rolling. Nobody has said they weren't hearing me. Even Fish woke up and said he heard me.
I'm still here.
I see you. Sometimes I see your eyes closed. Okay, well, I want to move on.
Because you've never said anything important before, I'm kind of shocked.
Well, it's you people are so hurtful, so very hurtful. Okay, so now we're going to move on real quick to the plate meeting. Of course, you introduce yourself to the coaches. Home plate umpire should be at the back of the plate facing the outfield. I always make sure, or I depend on Larry because Larry's better with names. I try to write the coaches' names down because I am terrible with names. Some of them have their names on there. Of course, they're all named coach, so that's pretty easy, I suppose, unless you got to write a report. And you ask them, you're required to ask them certain questions. Have your pitching records been exchanged? And we don't care, but MHSAA has said you're supposed to ask them that question. Whether they do or not, I don't care. You take the lineup cards from them and you check the lineup. Make sure there's 9 players that are starting. Make sure there's no duplications. Make sure there's 9 different positions, or if a DH, you have 10 different positions. Or if you're using the player, how do I say it? The player DH, make sure that's listed there, that you're aware of it. Ron Craley, what do you want?
I know this wasn't their meeting that you got set up.
Okay, but I'm talking in the meeting right now.
Oh, okay. You got back on?
Yeah, just log back in.
Log back in.
Okay. Where was I? Oh, ask them. Make sure those ITPs, those are the
ineligible to pitch.
Thank you. Ineligible to pitch are on there. And typically you'll get one coach says, well, we haven't played in a week. I don't have any. Well, then you should list ITP 0. In the event a new pitcher comes in, you can just glance at it. He's not one of my ITPs, is he? Okay. So now you go, coach. You've checked the lineup, hand it back to him. Coach, double check it. Everything okay? He hands it back. Now we've got an official lineup. Coach, what are the ground rules? And he'll walk you through all the rules. Make sure you understand it. Do not leave anything. I'm not sure of this. I'm not sure of that. If you ever umpire at Saugatuck, it's the most unique field you'll probably umpire at. And it's got a very short porch in right field with a net. Make sure you understand this is how they play that field. Make sure you ask the legal questions. Everybody legally and properly equipped. We used to ask everybody, about jewelry. That went away. But one of the things I do in the pregame, I told you I visit each dugout. We're looking for the eye black. It's noted in the book. The book still leaves it somewhat vague, but when we got a ruling on it last year, it was one swipe under the eye. None of this paint in the face and all of that crap. You can't even have the little sticker that's got the who is it? The check for Nike. You can't have anything on the eye black. Even if it's John 3:16 or love Jesus, whatever it is, there's not to be any writing on it. Okay. I guess we're not doing advertising or anything like that. I also ask, and I don't know that there's many of you that do. I just made it a habit. You got any questions about anything that's come up? Rules. And we don't get into rules discussions, but you guys that have been around a while, inevitably you call something and they'll say, well, the last umpire, and my reaction is, well, this is the way it's going to be called. I don't know what the last umpire knows or doesn't know. Okay. Make sure you get your game balls and make sure they have to have the MHSAA seal on them. it does
No,
kind
not
of.
MHSAA, NASO.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm looking at an
National
old note.
Federation High School, NFHS has to
That's
be.
correct. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Now I will
Doesn't have
say
to be
this.
MHSAA, but National Federation High School stamp.
Okay, I'll make that correction. Be aware. I think Larry and I ran into this a couple of times where they one team didn't have the right baseballs. And the other coach says, well, I got some. Or the home team says, well, the only ones I got are my practice balls.
Oh, geez.
So are we not going to play a game because neither one has a legal baseball? From
True.
what I understand, there you go. And that
Everybody
lasts
see it?
about that lasts about a half an inning.
Yep.
So
Unsafe with a unregistered ball.
right. My understanding is we're not to play the baseball game if we don't have them. For that exact reason, the liability. So anyway, make sure you get the baseballs. So all right, I'm right toward the end, starting the game. Introduce yourself to the catcher. Remember his name and use his name.
Best
I
friend.
write it down on my scorecard. I talk to him. I probably talk a little too much, but I do talk to the catcher during the game.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry I opened that for editorial remarks. And one note I didn't have, but Rick and I were talking about this the other day about the catcher using your name. Just over the last couple of years, I have introduced myself, and yeah, if you want to use Walter, as long as you're respectful with it, I don't have a problem with it. And I certainly like the coaches to use my name. I think it builds a little bit of a relationship, or maybe it makes it easier for him to cuss you out. I don't know. But just recently I have said, yeah, I'm Walter. Just, you know, and always remind the catcher, what is your number one job?
Walter Cronkite.
Take care of me. Make sure you take care of him. I always remind them of you get 8 pitches with the new pitcher, 5 after that, or 1 minute. So I don't care if a warm-up catcher came out. I don't care. If he threw 5 warm-up pitches to that warm-up catcher, we ain't throwing it down. You got your 5 pitches. Let's go.
Right.
Now the obvious thing, clean the plate, look the field over, make sure everybody's where there should be. I look down at my partner. I just point at him. He points at me. He's ready to go. And we're playing ball after that. So that's pretty much what I have before the game. I do have a couple of do's and don'ts. If you don't mind, Dave Hedges helped me with one of these don'ts. A couple of years ago, I was getting the hell beat out of me. And Hedges came and watched me at a game, and he said, well, you're not down in the slot far enough. You're standing over top of the catcher. So I'm not too old to learn. Well, sometimes too old to learn. But anyway, he made a great suggestion, and it sure cut down the number of times I was hit. Get set before the pitcher delivers the ball. I call ball loudly. I know there's those of you that don't say anything, but one of the umpire schools I went to said, call ball, even if only the catcher can hear it. It makes you look more decisive.
Well, we stay squatted if it's a ball also.
I don't know about that. I don't even think about that, but typically I am squatted and I do yell. I don't scream it, but I do say ball where they can hear me in the dugout. When you don't indicate what it is, well, you leave it up for, well, is he not sure? Or what was that pitch? So I have just been taught to call ball and say it loud enough where it can be heard. On a swinging strike three.
You don't have to be crazy with that when the ball is clearly like over the backstop, or, you know, it bounces 3 feet in front of home plate. Then it's pretty obvious, but
yes,
any other pitch that's around the plate, you should call it.
Yep.
I agree. That's a good point. If it's a stupid pitch, I don't even say anything, you know, I just click my indicator, Crayley, not my counter or
Thank you.
whatever.
To some degree, you know, we're our own worst enemy. You want to be seen and understood, really, but we don't need to be heard. So sometimes just the less we say, the better. You had
Well,
mentioned big foul balls over, you know, everybody knows the foul ball that just went into the stand is a damn foul ball. I don't have to raise my hands and go, oh, foul ball, right?
absolutely.
We
Guess
can
what?
point at it if
Strikes
it's near
here,
the fans, though.
right?
That goes,
So we're
that
trying to
goes
be a
right to
little
the,
bit, we're trying to be a little bit incognito to some degree. Go ahead,
that,
Walter.
that takes me right to where I was going next. You know, on a swing and strike three, now I know different guys show it different, but it's strike three. You don't do the moonwalk or any of that other crap. It's just strike three. If it's a call strike three, you want to call it pretty strongly. I shoot the bow and arrow. One of the things I learned though is I do it facing the pitcher because one time I turned and called it and the ball had gotten past him. I called it too fast. The ball's rolling around. It was ugly. I did bad mechanics. So just don't say anything on the swinging strike three unless it's a check swing. And then, yes, he went. I do that on first and
We're
second.
signaling with our hand also, right? On a swinging miss, strike three.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just going to give an out signal, right? Swing and miss,
Right.
the catcher caught the ball, so he's just, you know, he's just out. There's no big
No
deal.
And
verbalization.
that's a slight difference in my mechanics from some of you guys like Rick that I know they put that hand up there as a strike. Well, I point. I put my
No,
arm out.
I
Right.
think he was talking about strike three, Walter, that the
No,
ball,
but I'm going to
the
that.
man was out. The man was out, so he's just out.
I know, and I'm going to that point. So when it is that swing and strike three, I indicate an out like that because that's an out to me. But I don't call strikes that way. So it's just a difference in mechanics because to me, calling a strike that way is the same way I call an out. So you do it the way you get comfortable doing it. On a foul tip, indicate. And as we talked about just this morning, Dave was talking about it, and I've had it too. No, Joe Knapp was telling me, remember, that's a live ball. They can steal on that ball. I'm just throwing that in because I know he said he got yelled at. It was a foul ball. No, if it goes directly from the bat to the catcher's mitt, it's a tip and it's a live ball. Indicate fair balls. Do not indicate foul balls. I mean, fair. I'm going to say this backwards.
Boy,
Foul
don't
ball.
mess that up.
Hands are up. Foul ball.
It's
Fair
in.
ball.
It's in.
You say nothing and you just point. And believe me, I got that one screwed up when I first umpired too, because fair ball and foul ball sure sound a lot alike when
Be
everybody's
loud
yelling.
too. Foul ball. Point direction to the right or left of baseline.
Okay.
Yep.
And then in your pregame, you need to talk with your partner about who's covering third base on your tag ups at second, on your naked triples. Make sure you cover that. And lastly, on the do side, make sure every time that ball goes dead, i.e., a foul ball, put the ball back in play, play ball, whatever it is,
in play.
because the first time they I throw that ball back, or I have the catchers throw them back, and he picks that guy off first who's standing over there picking his nose, and we didn't put the ball back in play. Your base umpire his butt's gonna really be puckered up pretty tight because he knows you didn't put the ball back in play. And now what are we gonna do? Well, coach, he's not out because the home plate umpire didn't put the ball back in play. Okay, I got a list of don'ts real quick, and then I'm finished. Don't make your strike calls too fast. And you just learn the timing, and we all get guilty of it. You're rocking along, the pitcher's hitting the zone, and you're calling strikes, and the next thing you know, it's out of the zone. And just take your time. I think the old adage used to be, hear the pop in the catcher's glove and then make the call. Maybe that's right.
Stick
Whatever.
Stick with the call you're making, ball or strike. Don't go back and forth.
Don't work over the catcher's head. I touched on that earlier. Don't make routine foul ball calls. Don't verbalize fair ball calls. And nothing, and I am the worst. I will admit it, and I still do it. Nothing goes in your right hand. Take your mask off with your left hand. Your counter is in your, I can walk up to a field. Crayley will tell you this. You can walk up to field and tell a brand new umpire because he's got that indicator in his right hand and he's got it turned around backwards trying to read it underneath his hand. Indicator goes in the left hand. Me, I can't take my mask off to save me with my left hand. So I just do it real quick. I take it off with my right hand and switch real fast, you know. Never, even though you're the home plate umpire, and that actually by rule makes you umpire in chief, that doesn't give you the authority to overrule your partner. You don't ever overrule your partner, even if he comes to you and says, Walter, what'd you have? We have this conversation with each other. We don't let anybody come around and I'll say, this is what I've got. And now if he wants to change his call, he's going to make the change. However, it will come back on you because everybody seems to think the home plate umpire is the head man and he changed the call. Who makes the call changes the call. Okay. If you ask for help, there's a mechanic, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there a mechanic where you tap your chest that tells your partner, I've got information for you?
That's a colloquial signal, I think, that you make up with your partner.
Good, yeah.
I know with my partner, it's this, and we recognize that. You recognize that. Fish, what does your group use for that?
I don't like to use any signal because I think people see that and they get used to it. Then they're going to complain about, you're volunteering information that he's not asking for.
Here's
HSAA does have in the rule book that signal or that signal is appropriate.
It isn't appropriate. This is here's my take. Here's my take on this.
2 minutes, Charlie. That's okay. I'm in a meeting right now. Okay, I love you.
I love you too, honey.
A lot of love in this room.
I thought it'd be like Mickey Mouse. I thought you were in Disneyland or something, man. Anyways, so here, think about this for a second. I'm the calling umpire, and I've got people that the coaches now thinks I've kicked this call, and he's like, Chris, can you get help? Can you get help? So depending on the call, and if I think that it might be worthy, I try to be honest with myself. If I think there's a possibility I could kick this call, I don't mind getting help. I'm probably not going to change a judgment. I'm not going to change a judgment call that's a safe, that's something along those lines. It's just bang, bang, out, safer out. That's my call. I'm not going for help on that play. Okay. And I don't expect anybody to ever go for help on that play unless there's an opportunity for there to be a pulled foot, a swipe tag, something that my partner could add. Now, this is where I'm at with that. The coach is asking me, right? And if I have a question, I'm just going to take a glance out at my partner, and I'm hoping that he's looking at me going, either giving me the signal that we talked about or giving me like, hey, let me talk to you for a second. I've got some information you might need or you might like to hear. Now, when we
a perfect example of it.
Please, Craig.
Okay,
now please, Craig, please.
Yep. All right, go ahead.
Now, when we get together, my first thing is I'm going to look at my partner and I'm going to say, Walter, this is what I have.
Right.
And I'm going to tell him what I have. And then I'm going to ask him, do you have something that might change my mind? And then I'm going to let Walter go. And Walter's going to say, yeah, man, he had that swipe tag right there. 100% sure. Right now, I've got some information. Hey, man, if I messed it up, I messed it up. And I'm okay with messing it up. I just want to get the call right because that's what we're supposed to do. So I'll probably, all right, turn around, point over there, give the save or give the out or give whatever, make my explanation to the coach, and we're going to be on our way.
Now, to that point, we have one coach in particular, and I don't have him on my schedule this year.
Fantasy softball.
I don't do no softball. This is baseball meeting. Bet.
Okay.
Don't let a coach wear you out. There's a coach over there. He's wanting me to check with my partner on a bang bang at first base. Coach, no, we're not doing that. And this particular coach has been bad about it the last couple of years. Don't do it. Every time they ask, don't go check. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. We don't
Okay, a
ask.
couple other things, and then I'm gonna back out. A lot of them, you guys have seen this. These batters walk into that batter's box with that right hand thrown up. That means absolutely nothing. If he asks for timeout and I want to grant it, I will give him timeout. But just because he stuck his hand up, and I've had pitches come in and I've called him, and well, I had my hand up. I wanted time. Nope. Putting that hand up doesn't mean a darn thing. Just step in, or you're waving at me, high, blue, whatever it is. So be cognizant of that. Just make them keep 1 foot in the batter's box. Take the signal with a foot in the batter's box. This crap of walking in and out, MHSAA, everybody has been on that. Put a stop to it. And the last thing I have happened to me several years ago. I was working with a fellow that was kind of new, and we're walking out the field. I'm doing the plate, and he's got this little folder with him. I said, "What do you got in that folder?" "Well, I got the rule book." I said, no, we don't carry any rule books out to the field. I don't want it in your back pocket, front pocket, in your crotch. I don't want a rule book out there. Don't take a rule book to the field. Okay? And that's about all I got, Chris.
Okay. Rick, are you
Would I have anything to add?
yeah, that's a good question.
I just have one mechanic that my crew learned down at the state finals one year, and that was when a coach asks you to get help and you agree to get help. When the coach asks you to get help, you convene with your partner, or if you've got more than one partner out there, let's say you're working a 3-man or a 4-man system, if that should happen, everybody gets together, and the calling umpire then makes the final call. Whoever made the initial call makes the final call, just like we guys said. But when that coach asks you to get together, you tell the coach, "Okay, coach, I need you to go back into your box, or I need you to go back into the dugout, and we'll discuss this." We didn't do this in one of the games, and we got raked over the coals because we got together just like we were supposed to. We sent the coach back to the dugout, but after we made the call, the coach came back out and wanted to argue. When that happens, you have every right to send him back in the dugout and inform him that if he doesn't go back in the dugout, the discussion's over and he's going to be ejected. That is the approved mechanic that we were told to use. Send the coach back, have your discussion, make your decision, and that's the end of it. There's not going to be any more further discussion. If the coach wants to continue to argue, then you read him the lines. Coach, we've already discussed this. This is the final call. You either get back in your coach's box, or you get back in the dugout, or we're going to run you. Now, that was what we were told.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much takes care of a lot of potential problems.
Yeah, that actually stemmed from that first year of COVID, where the rule was if they come out and you don't let them, eject them. Now they've adjusted it to where if he requests and you permit it, he doesn't just get to come out and argue it, but he can't come across the foul line. And if you tell him no, and he doesn't go back, you have the authority, or if he comes across the foul line, you have the authority to, number one, restrict him to the dugout. And if you so choose, you can eject him. Okay. So that's a great point, Rick. And I got to tell you, from my place, it has really, I think, helped speed the game up a little bit. Jim Caserta doesn't coach anymore, but if you ever umpired Caserta's games, even the most obvious calls, Jim liked to argue. Maybe it was just me, but you just sometimes have coaches that like to argue, and this rule has really curtailed a lot of that.
Hey, Rick,
Yes, sir.
one thing that helps significantly is when that coach is asking you to get help on something and you've agreed to do that. The last thing that I say to that coach is, Coach, yes, I'm going to go talk to my partner, but please understand that once we confer and reach a decision, that decision is final and is not able to be argued. Please go back to your dugout. We'll finish our business and we'll let you know the call. That
Good
way,
words.
preventatively, you let them know you're not coming back out again. And yes, I'm listening to you. And yes, I'm going to go get them. But once we have that, the decision rendered will be final and you're done.
Good words. You know, anything you can do to make your life easier, and those words are excellent to use.
Well, and one other thing, we had that happen. I was up, I don't know, at Mona or something, and the coach argued that I have to give him a warning ahead of time. And I'm like, you got to know the rules just like I do. And so, no, coach, I'm not talking to you. Or, coach, you came across the line, you're restricted to the dugout. So, the only question I have, it just popped into my mind, Rick or Chris, you guys, what if he does come out on the field for a play that you actually do want to go talk to your partner, but you restrict him to the dugout for coming out on the playing field? Are we still going to discuss it and change it or whatever?
Here, look, guys are going to come out on the field every once in a while. Typically, what I do if I'm the base umpire, and that's really the only place they're going to come out there, right? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
I start walking over to them and I say, "Hey, we got to talk over here." So I put him on my shoulder and I walk over to the foul line and I take him back there with me. And
Oh,
we
okay.
have a little conversation while we're on that little talk. By the time we get there, I've said, "Hey, I will talk to my partner. You got to go back to the dugout. And whatever we decide, that's final, and that's going to be it." And
Do
typically
you
by
say,
then, typically that's kind of appreciated. I've taken my time to talk to him. There's no, admonishment. By being side by side, there's not really a lot of conflict there. Or if there is going to be any conflict, he's going to have to turn and make it so that it's going to look like it's his issue, not mine. Just
Well,
a lot of good
Chris,
things.
Chris, I have a question for you in that, and that's good preventive officiating, I think. But do you also make him cognizant of the fact that, coach, you're really not supposed to be out on this field? Because I don't want to go to that field after you do, and he comes out on the field, and I won't. I sounded a little gruff. I won't restrict him to the dugout, but I will tell him, coach, you're not supposed to be out here on the field. I'll check with my partner, but you need to be over
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I'll just say, hey, we got to do this over here. We got to do this over here. Walk with me.
Okay.
And I'll just, just that, I don't say much, and just, it's really a matter of fact. And anybody that's been around knows that they know the rule. So I'm not worried about them whether they know it or not. I'm like you. It's not my responsibility for them to know that. Then,
Right.
I'm going to give them every opportunity to obey the rule. And if they decide that after that's going to be an issue, then we start sanctioning.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, I am done, Chris.
Okay, we've got about 7 minutes left. It looks like. I really don't know what I'm doing, what the issue is, but a couple things I wanted to, if Rick, if you'll give me the floor without me letting you in,
No.
I wanted to bring this up real quick.
Yep.
These are this year's points of emphasis.
I see a black screen. Oh, there we go.
For the MHSA. Did it come back up? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's these things, and these are kind of new, and we'll go through them pretty quick because it's, saying we don't have a whole bunch of time. Coach to catcher communication. They're allowed to have that electronic communication from the dugout to the catcher. They put a little earpiece in and they give them the signal, or they give them the pitch that they want to throw, and then the catcher can give the pitcher the sign. That's the only person that can have that communication on the field. Any questions? The coach has to be inside the dugout to send those signals. He can't be outside the dugout to send those signals.
and that's
Okay,
one-way communication.
that'll be a
Yes.
one-way communication, correct. One-way communication, right. Can't be a phone, can't be anything like that, right. Malicious contact. Well, first, let me go back real quick. That communication, that'll be a question on the test if you decide to take the test. For you new guys, if you decide to take the test, for your older guys, it is going to be a question on the test.
Hey, invariably,
Is there any
Chris, quick
questions about
question.
that
Yeah,
one-way communication? Yes,
I got
go
a
ahead.
quick, question. Invariably at the beginning of the season, especially that all that technology is not going to be working. How much time do we give them to kind of fix it, get it working again? Oh, now it's not working and timeout. And how do we deal with that?
Look, if they can't get it, I mean, I might give them a second or, a little bit. They can go over to the dugout to take care of it. They, I believe actually in college, I don't think they can come out on the field to fix it. They have to go into the dugout to fix it. I don't think that's an issue. I wouldn't give them an incredible amount of time, but I would maybe give them a second or two to, if it's something that can be fixed quickly, then fix it quickly. If not, this is baseball and it's been played for hundreds of years without electronic communication. Just give a damn sign.
Chris?
Thanks, Chris.
And after 3 outs, they get to go back in the dugout anyway, so they can fix it.
Yeah.
Chris Hedges here.
Yes.
I was with Brad Bush last weekend. He specifically addressed this with a group of umpires, and he said that the sales of the units are going really good. He said if they have issues with them, they just have to stop taking and stop using them. We've been playing for 100 years without it. You're not going to give them any time to fix it. It's not during the game that they have to learn how to use this stuff. Move on. That was his direction.
Awesome. Sounds like Brad and I are on the same page.
You are.
Good place to be.
Malicious contact can be initiated by either offense or defense, and they're looking at those two words, and that'll be on your test too, with excessive force and intent to injure. Doesn't have to be both. If it's excessive force and it's not a baseball play, it may very well be malicious contact. So take your time on plays that are, especially plays at home where guys might run catchers, plays out at second base, where there's slide plays where people might get their feet up. Those kind of things can all be issues you want to look at. Yes.
One of the things it seems like I've seen a lot as far as the malicious contact, base runners going to first base. I've had one ejection for him actually throwing the elbow and hitting the first baseman. I had another one that I should have ejected. Even the parents on that player's team asked me why I didn't eject him. He went by and threw the elbow at the first baseman and missed. He should have been ejected for that unsportsmanlike conduct. So kind of under that malicious contact, I think if he just swung and missed at the guy, it's still going to be an ejection.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see some weird things happen on baseball fields that you're just going to have to make judgments on. I agree. I mean, some stuff looks weird, some stuff looks bad and it's not, and some stuff just looks innocuous and it's, and people take offense to it. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see those sorts of things and you're going to have to make a decision on that. And in the moment, it's difficult at times. So, don't beat yourself up or anything like that. So, the use of profanity this year is a point of emphasis. So guys, I probably, over the years cuss as much as any sailor I think I could imagine, but when we're on a baseball field, everybody needs to be professional. Profanity, you're going to hear it every once in a while. Try and nip it in the bud if you can. It doesn't have to be penalized immediately. Warnings are, I believe the book says, we should be giving warnings before we do this sort of thing. But if you give a warning, give it to the entire team. Don't just give it to one person. We're not going to go through and give 9 separate warnings for each person that decides to say the F word on the field. Just, when you hear it, say, hey, time, this is going to be the warning. We're not doing that. It's a point of emphasis this year, and it's not on us. And if you tell them it's a point of emphasis this year, it's not on us, right? I didn't ask for it to be an issue. You guys did, or the rule book said it is. So any questions about the use of profanity? Nobody? It's
I
pretty
would like to just add that you have different levels that you can use to control that. You've got the warning, you've got the written warning, and restricted to the dugout, and then you've got the ejection. So you've got 3 levels to work with. You know, use common sense and, you know, try and keep the player in the game if you can. But
Yeah.
when it gets to the point that everybody in the whole stands can hear it, then you pretty much, your hands are kind of tied sometimes.
I think that's a perfect point there, because so often, you know, the batter will strike out or something and he'll say damn to himself or something like that. But when they get
Or
it where
worse, but
grandma
you
can
only
hear
hear
it.
it.
Yep. Okay. I've got only one other thing, Chris, when you get through.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it
Just a
fast.
reminder for you guys that want to attend, and it doesn't matter what chapter you're in. Our next meeting will be at Mona Shores High School on March the 2nd, and that's going to be a mechanics meeting. I know the schedule is going to be sent out. We have the schedule already. Basically, you can look at it that every 2 weeks, we have no Zoom meetings. They're all in-person meetings. So at Mona Shores, I have it right now at 9 to 10:30. Those meetings